Okay, so let's talk about AI. We've been given this absolutely incredible new source of energy for building software. It's amazing, right? But what if that same energy is also a kind of slow-acting poison? Today, we're going to unpack this really powerful analogy that explains this hidden danger and, more importantly, how to avoid it.
And this quote it gets right to the heart of the matter. We are being flooded, absolutely drowning, in a fire hose of AI-generated tokens. That's raw energy. But here's the critical mistake we can't afford to make: confusing that raw energy with genuine intelligence, with wisdom, or with context. They are not the same thing, not even close. And this just shows you the sheer scale of the shift we're living through. We used to be limited by what you could call energy to code. Literally, the physical speed of a human being thinking and then typing. But now we're in an era of energy to token, where generation is pretty much instantaneous. The fundamental physics of how software gets made has completely changed. But here's where the paradox kicks in. This unbelievable news speed is creating some really hidden systemic problems. It turns out that building faster doesn't automatically mean you're building better. In fact, it might mean the opposite. And look, this is not some far-off futuristic problem. I'm talking about right now. A staggering 41% of all new code is already being generated by AI. This sugar code, as we'll call it, is already deeply, deeply embedded in the systems you and I use every single day. So to really get our heads around this, we need to talk about bees. Yeah, bees. The source material for this uses a brilliant analogy, this tale of two beehives, and it just perfectly illustrates the problem we're facing. It all comes down to the difference between sugar and honey. You see, beekeepers will sometimes feed their hives simple sugar water. It's a quick hit, right? Pure energy, raw calories to keep the bees flying and working. But here's the thing, it's a dead calorie. It has none of the complex enzymes, the pollen, the micronutrients you find in real honey. The very things that make a colony truly healthy and resilient. And here is the direct parallel to our world, to software. The AI-generated code, that's the sugar, pure token energy. And yeah, it works, it runs, but great human-written code, well, that's the honey. It's packed with a complex nutrition of architectural intent, of business context, and this is the key, that vital, almost invisible 3% of nuance that makes a system robust instead of brittle. Now, to really see the risk in what we're doing with software, we first have to understand the biology. Why exactly is a diet of pure sugar so catastrophic for a real beehive? It actually comes down to this specific compound found in natural honey. When bees eat it, it basically acts like a key, turning on a specific gene. That gene then starts producing these powerful detoxifying enzymes. It's like the bee's natural immune booster. And this entire critical defense system, it's completely missing when they're on a sugar-only diet. And the impact of this is just huge. Bees that are fed on real honey can detoxify poisons 60% faster than those fed on just sugar. I mean, that is not a small margin. That's literally the difference between the hive surviving and collapsing. But the long-term damage is even sneakier. A sugar-only diet causes the bee's vital internal organs, these things called fat bodies, to literally shrink. This means the next generation of bees is born weak, they're hollow, so the colony might look totally healthy all winter long, but then it collapses at the very first sign of stress in the spring. It's a real phenomenon, and it's called the spring dwindle. So, how does this biological collapse map onto the world of software engineering? Well, I think we are witnessing the very beginning of our own spring dwindle, and it's happening right now. This is the critical long-term risk. We are creating a generation of hollow engineers. They're being raised on a diet of AI-generated sugar code. So yeah, they're becoming fantastic at prompting in AI, but their foundational skills, the really hard stuff, like debugging from first principles, truly understanding deep system architecture, those skills are starting to atrophy.
And on the surface, everything looks amazing. This is the seductive part of the sugar diet, right? Our productivity metrics are just skyrocketing. Teams look like they're shipping 20% more code, easily. All the velocity charts are pointing up and to the right. Everyone's getting a pat on the back.
But here's the crash that always follows the sugar high. This increased throughput comes with a massive hidden tax. System incidents are up by over 23%. And, even more telling, that AI-generated code is introducing bugs at nearly twice the rate of human-written code. The hive, our system, is getting weaker. And this is the part that's really crucial to understand. We're seeing what you could call a negative value velocity. Teams look like they're moving faster, but they end up spending so much time fixing all the brittle, subtle, weird bugs created by the AI that their actual progress is going backward. Okay, so we've diagnosed this invisible illness. How do we fix it? Well, we need to stop acting like simple sugar suppliers and start being wise, intentional beekeepers for our engineering teams. One really key strategy is to create what's called a constraint ledger. It can be as simple as a file in your project called agents.md. This is how you inject that missing 3% of nuance, that honey. Before the AI is allowed to write a single line of code, it has to read this file, which contains your core architectural rules, your security must-haves, and all that quirky institutional knowledge that makes your system yours. And here's a really powerful mental shift for you. What if we stop using AI's energy only for creation? What if we use it for destruction too? Let's force the AI to become its own worst critic. Make it generate tests specifically designed to break the very code that it just wrote. Turn its power back on itself. You know, this all leads to a kind of new manifesto for tech leaders. First, change your metrics. Stop measuring lines of code and start measuring intent density, how much human wisdom and intent is packed into the AI's output. Second, change how you train people. You should mandate that junior developers spend, say, 15% of their time coding by hand to build those core atrophying skills. And finally, change your mindset. Adopt a zero-trust policy. Treat every single line of AI code as if it came from a hostile, untrusted third-party vendor. So in the end, it all boils down to this one question. It's a question for every single developer and every engineering leader out there. Are you a beekeeper, carefully building a resilient hive that can actually survive the winter, or are you just a sugar supplier, feeding your system empty calories while you wait for the inevitable collapse?